Alright, guys, let's look at this case. So, this kid right here was driving 103 miles an hour on a 45 miles an hour street or highway in California, right? I believe it's Santa Monica, California. I can't remember, but anyway, so he plowed down these four sorority girls, right? It's four of them. It's just the backdrop is not really showing off for, but they all passed away. And California law, when it comes to speeding, um, not sure if he was under the influence or anything like that, right? It doesn't say, but obviously it was speeding, lost control, right? Okay, now the prosecutor is charging him with second degree murder, right? So four life sentences. And his defense attorney says it's grossly overcharged, right? Based on the law. Let me show you what the law is for speeding over 100 miles an hour. Okay, so for speeding over 100 miles an hour, this is for not causing a death because of um because the person was speeding, right? So major infraction, California violation. Over 100 miles an hour is serious infraction. Fines may be included up to $2,100. DMV points to negligent operator treatment system, NOTS, points on your driving record, right? Apparently, two knots points is very hard to delete or something, but you only get two knots points. I mean, you would assume. Well, this is, you know, it's no different if you were traveling 100 miles an hour at a 60 miles an hour, like on the freeway, right? When, a lot of people are driving high speeds anyway, but you're driving at a 45 mile an hour zone, right? At most, it'd be like a highway over here, like, like a possibly a busy highway, right? But there's pedestrians crossing the roads and stuff, and they're not paying attention to the cars because they assume that they have the right of way, right? And so that's the real issue. And then obviously the penalties would be like suspended license and increase insurance price or whatnot, right? Okay, so this is what happens when you don't cause the death, but when you do, this is what happens. Okay, I mean it's too hard to read since the backdrop is I can't really control how it shows up unless I cut it a certain way. But that says vehicular manslaughter charges, right? And you know, or misdemeanor charges, right? So California law doesn't really charge you with a crime when it comes to like driving over the speed limit. Thing is, they see it more as an accident than a like a murder charge, right? It wasn't premeditated, so therefore it wasn't a murder charge, right? Now, if they could link that to premeditation, as far as like maybe they were some of the girls that maybe like didn't give them a chance or whatever at dating them, and they found out, that could be premeditated. You know what I mean? That's just a what if scenario, right? But since maybe there's no relational ties with the driver and the pedestrians that lost their lives, then you know the charge will be vehicular manslaughter. So, but the prosecutor, for some reason, seems to think that he should get a second degree murder charge, which will ultimately, if indicted or convicted, he'll be sentenced to he can be sentenced up to for lifetime, uh, you know, penalties in prison. But anyway, I thought it was an interesting case, um, and apparently the kid family sold their homes in California to pay for a high power attorney. The attorney is the one who, I believe, in one of the recent cases, um, I don't know. You would have to look into it, but it's supposed to be really high profile. So um, maybe we'll see more in the coming days. On the headlines and whatnot. Anyway, have a good day. Peace.